morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is that you're listening to Living Truthfully, and welcome back to episode 18. Can you believe it? Episode 18. And I'm so glad that you're here, you're listening. I'm grateful for the feedback that you've been giving us and that you've been sharing this podcast with your friends and your families. And I want to encourage you, please keep writing to me. Let me know what this podcast means to you. On Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, at Amani Maranga is my handle. And then share this podcast with everyone who needs to hear it. Now, keeping with what we've been doing this month, it's the heavyweight month, and I have in studio one of our favorite heavyweights. It's gonna be fire, so Vuta stool, come close, get a cup of tea together. I have in studio the one, the only, Dr. Oscar Githua. And I have to say, these conversations contain mature themes and listener discretion is advised. So here goes. Well, Dr. Oscar Githua, welcome back.
Wow, thank you so much, Amani. This is an honor. It's great. It's exciting. Wow, you've really been doing well. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Ulisumbua watu hapa wewe.
Really?
Ulisumbua watu hapa wewe.
I just thought we were having an honest conversation, and I'm really happy because what you're doing, as I told you that day when we started, is you're doing something essential, and that's why it's getting the traction it's getting. So I think ni wewe umesumbua watu. But I was just an accomplice.
Me, I've just been here trying to live truthfully.
That's good.
And I'm so grateful that you're really a co-host to this podcast. You're not even a friend to the podcast. You're a co-host to this podcast. I'm glad you've come back. While you were away, while you're away, we did a couple of series, and we're culminating it this month with just conversations with some heavyweights.
Yes.
And I had Michael Oyer.
Wow.
And you know Michael very well.
I know Mike. I know him. He's definitely a heavyweight in the media. But even before that, when he was at USIU, he was the chair of the students' government, and so someone we all looked up to. And just having him open up and speaking with him, I think the talent you have, Amani, is being able to allow people to feel safe and to have them speak. And so that's really commendable. And I also just want to reach out to Mike and tell him, hey, you know what, your brother's still here. And also just, we can have that conversation in another forum.
Yeah.
But I think that the more men who are influential or have been influential speak about the realities in their lives, the more people will get out of their shells and will communicate to other people about reality of what life is, And I think I was telling you that for me, this year is about authenticity. And
it is.
And just about, being authentic and just saying that, enough with facades. Enough with pressure from I don't know where. I mean, the day when you die, half the people you're showing off for will not be there.
In fact, someone asked me, who are the 6 guys who are going to carry your coffin?
Wow. That's profound.
Who are the 6 guys? Because, with my weight, it's going to be Jamaz. It's going to be 6 niggas. Who will need to carry my coffin? Maybe 8.
After they've eaten.
After they've eaten. So someone has to feed them.
Yeah.
And that was a hard question.
That's a heavy question.
It's a heavy question because it's true about us men and some of the relationships that we have. I think we think we have deep relationships, but sometimes we don't.
I think you're right in terms of the depth. They're safe relationships.
They're safe relationships
because it's like you're in this group of people who you're avoiding things together.
Say that again.
You're in a group in a group with other men where you're avoiding things together. That feels nice.
So profound, bro.
It's true. I mean, you both of you are avoiding things. You and I, we're avoiding things. You know, you're watching the game. You know, think about it. You know, there's one time I asked, what's the logic behind watching the games on Saturday, Sunday?
Watching sports, yeah.
Following teams religiously. There's nothing wrong with sports intrinsically. The problem is the symbol of what it has become. It's almost like, let's go avoid real life. Let's go avoid responsibility.
So we're escaping together.
So we're escaping together, and that bond is really deep. If you think about it, it's like, you know, if I see you, I remember you in the context, not the content of what we're doing. Because again, we won't remember the score of what game it was. We just remember that we were drinking together. We had a great time. We yelled, we chilled. And I'll even say, oh my God, my hangout buddy. But really, if I asked you who I am, you don't know who I am. And that's the problem right there, because nobody is really sharing about themselves. They're really avoiding life together. And that's what makes them close, not really knowing each other.
Dude, your work is done. See you.
Bye. I thought you said we were going to be deep.
Oh, yeah.
To me, and actually, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I think, man, it's just that things have been clicking. And when they start clicking for me, I just don't know any other way of saying them apart from just directly. And as men, and I look at myself also and just see the days when I've thought of hanging out like that or in that kind of capacity. And what was I doing? You know, then you feel empty after that. And that's what most men will not tell you.
Bro, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So I've been receiving a lot of feedback, a lot of feedback on the show. So from guys, and I don't know how to get more feedback from guys. Like, I know there's many guys listening. Yeah. But I get most feedback from chicks. Obviously, because chicks feel I can talk and I can. Yeah. But every so often I hear feedback from guys. Yeah. So this is a common scenario. Yeah. Where a guy feels he's been doing the same thing over and over again. He's in a cycle. Yes. You know? So in my 20s, I get a toy. Okay? Yeah. For whatever reason, that's not the Chile I wanted to be with. So I keep that relationship as a baby mama relationship. I'm there. I'm taking care of the child. Yeah. But then now I'm trying to look for the chick I want to be with. And then somewhere there's another oops. And again, another toy. Yeah. And maybe that complicates that situation. And so maybe now that is not the person I want to be with anymore. Yeah. And so by the time I'm in my 40s, I have 3-4 kids. Yeah. With different women. And I'm not a bad person. Yeah. Like, I didn't set out to be a player. This was not a pattern I was looking for. Yeah. But I get myself here every so often. Yeah. And I've had this several times, and sometimes it's not about the children. No. But it's about just the relationships that you pick up. Yeah. And they don't end up being the relationships that you're looking for. But it leaves a string of pain and of hurt. Yeah. And guys have been asking me, what's wrong with me? Yeah. And how can I stop?
Wow, that's really tough. And, you know, I mean, for the people who are asking that, I really want to commend them first for really just reaching out. But let me also do something for everyone else who doesn't have a string of baby mamas. If we looked in our hearts seriously, and thought about how many women we've had since, and I'm not going to start from high school because that's a different conversation, but after you were 18 years old, I want every man listening to this, as an adult, basically. I want every man listening to this, and even every woman, to imagine this. What if every time you had sex with a different person, they all became pregnant? What would your story be? And I'm saying that because I think that the evidence of a relationship with somebody who was really going through a cycle of maybe being hurt or being disappointed or something like that, if the evidence is this beautiful creation that is a child, then that cannot be a place of judgment. As a matter of fact, to me, that's not even the issue. And I want to talk to those men and say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with you. You are being exactly like everyone else. It just happened that the women you were with got children. What the other people are not telling you is how many liaisons sexually they've had with people. So because of them not being authentic with you, you imagine that you're the failure. You're not. Just because someone decided they can take P2, they can use condoms, they can do whatever it is, that doesn't exonerate them from the same behavior. So the outcome might have been different, but the behavior is exactly the same. Now, what is the behavior? Now that we've gotten that out of the way, that the children are not a negative outcome.
Yeah, the children are an outcome.
They're an outcome, but they're not a negative outcome. And in fact, for those men, I think to you know, one of the ways you can start salvaging things in your life is by saying, can I be a father? Can I be a present man? Can I be a positive man? Can I be an energetic man? Can I raise his children? And even if it's not co-parenting, because I don't know the quality of the other person, I'm challenging you as the man to take up your space and be a father. Now, let's address what that is. Well, the reality, you've said it. I mean, if someone started that in the 20s, there's a gap we're trying to fill. Whether it's unfulfilled relationships, unfulfilled promises, whether it's wanting attention that's deeper, a connection. And I think that's what it is, a connection.
It's a connection,
You know, we as human beings, it's like we look for this connection, and that's why you hear things like ride or die, or you hear someone saying that you're my only one, you're my soulmate. And then you find someone becoming, yes, your soulmate. But then I always talk about the concept of love, and I say there's 3 components to love. Intimacy, passion, and commitment.
Intimacy, passion, and commitment.
And I'm actually writing something about that, because what I'm seeing is that if you drew a graph, which on the y-axis, which is the one that runs vertically, being the intensity, and then if you have the x-axis, which is the one that runs horizontally, being length of time, if you begin at 0 at both, you find that, you know, that intimacy, commitment, and passion are not at the same level. When you meet someone, you're not sure if you want to commit to them. And mostly what draws you to them is either intimacy or passion. And so what happens is that you find that most people concentrate on the question of passion. But many of them start with intimacy. Most men actually don't begin with passion. It's so funny because, you know, we say men are visual creatures. It's about the physicality. Yeah. But if a man is in a relationship, I mean, it's whatever we see. But if you look deeper, many men will not be in a relationship with a woman who they find the most attractive.
Yeah.
They'll be in a relationship with a woman who they find the most comforting or nurturing.
That's true.
Or intimate, the one who takes them and allows them to be themselves.
That's true.
Intimacy. So intimacy leads. And also because there's this saying that I want you to know, and I think you know this, Honomani, for sure, that men give love to get sex. But women give sex to get love.
Yes, I've heard that.
So women lead with passion. And the symbols of passion are dates. Symbols of passion are dressing in a sexy way. Symbols of passion are like making yourself up to become attractive. And I know many women will be against that and say, oh, this Dr. Oscar guy is kind of being... But the reality is, if you look at it just plainly, those are all signs of attraction which lead to passion. So passion is what attracts men to women. However, men segregate the women they're going to be with or the ones they're not going to be with based on their level of intimacy. So the woman who's intimate with them is who they'll date. But women are the opposite. The man who's going to be passionate with them is who they'll date. Now, both of those things will determine the decision on commitment. So what ends up happening is, Amandi, you find this girl, you found her attractive, she came to you with passion, you connected on intimacy, and then you decide, you know what, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this girl. Then you find that personality-wise, you're probably not matched.
Yeah.
You're not matched on many whatever. No, at no fault to you or the girl. But then the outcome is the baby. Now what do? And that's a problem. So then you do the same thing.
And especially if the baby comes when you've not made a commitment decision. I think that's a difference, because while exploring this intimacy and passion phase, then a baby comes. And I don't think maybe at the point the decision for commitment hadn't been made.
Majority of times it hadn't.
Yeah. So now that seems to force whether you make a commitment decision or not.
And that bingo, Amani. And that's where society comes in with this huge voice. Do the right thing. What on earth does that mean? I'm the first one to come and debunk it. Do the right thing. What do you mean do the right thing? You see, the thing is this. That child will be a hostage of a convenient relationship for the rest of their life. Do the right thing unless it is in fact true that they're matched emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, all of those matching facets you can look at. I don't think that any child deserves to be made to be in a hostage situation just because society thinks so. And I want everyone who's listening to listen to me carefully about it, because a lot of the relationships that are out there right now of people masquerading as the most passionate people and the most intimate people are actually not committed.
They're hostage situations.
They are. That's what. So substitute commitment to hostage situation.
Are you being held hostage? I have an escape plan for you. You guy, that is so profound.
Okay, no, I guess. Okay, look, I don't know,
but it makes sense because when we were doing the series of why men get married,
yes,
we had guys who, you know, were at the space where like, this was my choice, this is what I wanted, I chose my woman, and that was fantastic to hear.
Yes, of course. And
largely I found that those people are in solid marriages.
Yes.
I found that those people are in, solid, I mean there's strong commitment.
Of course, yes.
I mean, they might have their trouble, but there's strong commitment.
Yes.
They are willing to work it out and make it work and stay. I found that those people who felt a sense of compulsion, read hostage situation.
Yes.
Those people, most marriages did not last. And so I am actually, you know, I don't even think it's just a child who's held hostage.
Of course not.
I think it's like everyone, it's like a Mexican standoff, eh? Everyone has a gun to each other.
That's right.
Toy has a gun on both parents. Yes. Wife has a gun on husband.
Yes.
Husband has a gun on wife.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, it's a Mexican standoff.
And let me even be more controversial. And let me add something to the mix. And then even the ones who've actually agreed and both of them are mature enough to make the decision to be in a relationship together, whether or not there was a child, get into it. And they're happy and they're mature and they're growing and all that stuff. There's a concept, and I think on my podcast we'll talk a bit about that.
We'll talk about your podcast. You guys is about to get fire.
We will. And I believe that people need to have a periodic assessment of their relationships, however stable they may appear. And
to what end?
Because if in fact you're growing, it is good to take stock if the person you met and married is the same person you're with.
Well, chances are they're not. But
and that's it. And that's it. You see, if you don't take stock and you continue behaving with them like the person you met, then you're now interacting with a person in past tense. And that's why people find each other with using words like we've fallen out of love, using words like I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'll tell you what's going on. You've not taken stock and you don't know who you're with. It's a stranger in the house. In fact, the words people say, it's like I'm with a stranger. You are with a stranger.
Actually, to be honest, yesterday I had a conversation with a friend.
Yeah.
Having tea.
Yeah.
And she was saying, she's no longer in her marriage. And she was saying, I know the man I married and dated, but I don't know the man I left.
Who? Do I need to say anything else?
Wow.
Amani, we want to have healthier relationships. We want to have better lives. We want our children to grow up in healthy environments. One of the best things we could do for ourselves, or even for them and even for generations to come after us, is to periodically take stock of who we are and who the people we live with are.
Just coming out of your question, out of your conversation on your 3 stages of love.
Yeah.
Is it possible to start with commitment, then go into intimacy and passion, or passion and intimacy?
Now, here's the interesting part.
First, just say that's a very good question.
Of course it is.
Yeah, just make me feel better. Just make me feel better about my life.
Such a brilliant question, actually, Amani. Because the question had always been, how comes arranged marriages?
There you go.
And how comes marriages from back in the day which it was, a man looks at a girl, likes her, interviews the family, sees is a good woman who would make a good mother for my children or whatever it is. How comes those marriages last? And how come these people even laugh with each other and stuff? Commitment seems to be the only thing in those three that can't be faked. It's almost like it is a binary. You're either getting committed or you're not getting committed. There's no in between.
That's such a good thing you've said, because I was about to ask you, is it possible to love without any of these components? And basically what you're saying, we might be able to get rid of passion and intimacy.
Yes.
And we still have a relationship.
And that is why a lot of the older couples right now, people in their 70s and late 60s and probably even up to 60, that generation, if you look at most of their marriages, what's holding them together is commitment. And it's that bedrock of understanding that no matter what, they're going to fulfill things together, they're going to be together. And of course, passion and intimacy has been worked on, and it fluctuates depending on what's happening in life. But only mature people will understand that those two are fickle and they can actually fluctuate. For example, biologically, it is not possible, Amani, for that 20-something-year-old guy to sustain his abilities when he's 45 or even 50. Biologically, I'm not even talking about because he's a bad guy or a good guy.
Just push to 60 or 70, because
because we are knocking.
It's a bit soon.
No, but seriously, if you look at it, and that's why the midlife crisis is so exciting for me to study, especially in men, because we're living in a past that we glorify. We glorify how we were, everything seemed to work out for us. We were these heroes and whatever. But then you get to this point between 45 and 60 where you're ambivalent about your abilities. You're very ambivalent about, what you can be able to achieve physically, even in terms of things you liked. The other day I was trying to shoot some hoops. Man, let me just tell you.
And you played serious basketball.
I used to. I was on the team and stuff. And here's the funny thing. Man, in my head, I'm just trying to summon my inner Michael Jordan, and I realize, man.
You're ready to jump and dunk.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. None of it. My body is taking a beating. I'm thinking it's the shoes. You start telling yourself things.
I have a solution for you, man.
Tell me.
Shorten the rim. Bring it down.
I like that.
Bring it closer.
But you see, that's the thing. But then, you're there with the younger guys, and you can see the younger guys, like, these guys are like 6'7", 6'6", guys are just doing like all these windmill jumps. But that's the beauty of life. I think, to me, when we're able to wear the shoes of the stage of our life properly, we'll be so happy. And we're not going to be chasing things that are unattainable, especially unattainable when we are fixated on them. Same thing I talk to women about. I mean, if you're 38 or 39 years old and trying to compete with a 19-year-old or 20-year-old girl, sister, let me just tell you something. Biologically, you're not the same creature. You might be filling in forms and say female, but you're not the same biologically. I mean, you're just not.
Bro, I like my security. Just
I'm
be
just
easy on the chicks, man.
No, by the way, I'm very easy with them, because what I say is that everybody is beautiful at the stage of life.
And that's true. And there's a like I was having a conversation with another friend.
Yeah.
And we're both single now. Just throwing our hearts in the ring, which I need to talk about with you just now.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I tried this youngings.
Yes.
It can't work. Because the body is there.
Yeah.
But what you need is not with the youngings. What he needs, because we're age mates, is a little older, just and
someone
I
who's
listened
gone
to
through
him,
life.
I was like, okay, that makes sense. And it makes that person who's gone through life attractive.
That's right. It's about software, man. It's software. What is packaged inside that shell? The shell is beautiful, but then you see that's what's funny about life.
Yeah.
At every stage of life, you're giving up something. As well, you have something, but you're giving up something.
So you gain something, you drop.
I mean, look at us, man. Like, we used to have 6 packs in Inini when we were younger. Right?
Yeah.
But
doing much better than I am.
No, bro. No, you are. I mean, in fact, today when I saw you, remember what I told you? You're looking great, bro.
Thanks.
the thing is that what we have now in terms of life experience and exposure and, you know, what we really have to offer, even just as human beings without even reaching out anywhere else, is golden. Would I trade what I know now for the body I had at 19 and 20 just so that I can have the body? No. I'm happy where I am. And you see the same thing, if you asked me at 19 if I would end up my body right now to trade for what of course I'd be like, no, you're crazy. But then that's the funny thing about life, you know. There's a saying that says that youth is wasted on the young.
It really is, man.
It is.
I've heard that statement before, and every time I see youth do or young people do stupid things, I'm like,
man, guys are bashing their bodies. They're filling their bodies with chemicals, man. Like, I'm telling you. And look, and you see, those chemicals they start the trajectory of that avoidance we were talking about earlier.
The things that you avoid together.
Because it's fun. It's fun to avoid. I mean, nobody wants to look at themselves naked in front of the mirror, especially when there's parts they don't like. And that's exactly what I mean emotionally. And that's what I mean, you know, life-wise. You don't understand bare. And what we're doing right now with your podcast and with mine is we're trying to compel people to undress emotionally and look at themselves.
Next on Living Truthfully.
Women have a cycle, a monthly cycle that is biological, but it's also very primal. And research has actually been done to tell you who a woman is likely to choose. Again, not so what happens is, like you as a man, it depends on what stage of the cycle she is at for you to actually be successful or not be successful. Let me even make it more. let me even, so it's basically like you're playing. It's unbelievable. I mean, when you learn that, it is so refreshing and so interesting. Human biology is unbelievable. I'll even talk to you about men and their biology, because we don't think we have cycles. Actually, we do.